Hi there, welcome to Isle Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Leo energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody's at different kind of emotional maturity levels, and in our shadowy Leo energy, we can be more about ourself, our pride, our ego, our fear, our insecurity, our lust, our greed, or just being full of ourself and kind of immature and self-indulgent. Other people have learned some more lessons in life and tempered their more egoic nature, and they're kind of more inspired to work together cooperatively with people in truth and love, and have gotten out of their more self-centered nature, have worked through some of their fears and their insecurities, and so that's how we're going to read it. And this might be something that people who are a Leo sun sign or have significant Leo placements in their chart might be particularly something they're dealing with right now in their life to some degree, even if it's just within themselves or other people. But we all tap into Leo energy, so therefore it can affect all of us. And so listen to where you might be in the story, how you harness your own Leo energy, if you harness it in a more high vibe way, worldly way, shadowy way, how other people in your life harness theirs. And the truth sets us free so long as we're willing to get out of our ego, deal with the truth. Otherwise, we kind of stay in more mismatched relationships. Well, the overarching reason for the reading is manipulation. Our own shadow nature is always trying to manipulate us. The end of the story is intimidation. There's a part of us in our shadow nature that doesn't want to do life differently than we've done it because of our fear and our insecurity of change. And everybody can feel that way, but sometimes, some people more so than others, but then some people can have people in their life that more so do not want them to have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and free themselves from things that manipulate them because they don't want to free themselves from things that manipulate them. So if you were to move forward in life differently, they still haven't dealt with some of their issues, right? So that could be something, we all have to deal with our own shadow nature, but we also have to deal with other people in the world that can be kind of manipulating or controlling, right? Okay, so we start out at the top with two cards not showing themselves. And sometimes the way I read that is that when we did get in a relationship with someone or we are in a relationship with other people, we might not realize with some of those people that we harness these energies differently. Teaching and relocation. And that would then lead to the conformity card. And I kind of look to the conformity card as more so Taurus energy, but it can be like in our Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, our earth sign energy of self. There is that part of ourself that doesn't want to see the truth. We'd rather go along with the flow. We'd rather have things work out the way we wanted them to work out. And some of the shadowy people in our life are hoping that we'll think that way because, again, whatever manipulates them, if it's their ego, if it's their fear, if it's their defensive nature, if it's other people in their life, they might not want to. They might like to present themselves as someone who's stable and grounded and emotionally mature and more independent and is a pillar of society, but they can still have a lot of things that manipulate them, right? And high vibe people are inspired. I kind of look at, well, this one would kind of be a Sagittarius, Virgo type energy. This one, a Sagittarius energy. The truth is, you're either more motivated and inspired to heal and grow and mature yourself and work through these things that manipulate you, or you're not. And you kind of are a little bit more about conforming, are more about not dealing with things that manipulate you in order to get along. And sometimes we get in more mismatched relationships with people and have people in our life where our truth and what drives and motivates us is different. But then we have the sex card, which is fire sign energy, kind of life force energy, that, we want a job, we want a friendship, we want a relationship. And with the teaching card not showing itself, we're all going to be drawn and attracted to certain things and people because we have lessons learned from them. And so fire sign energy can also just be that we're kind of more about ourselves, or we're more about the world, or these things we want to go indulge in. And we got some lessons to learn that maybe we haven't learned yet, right? And it could even just be being more inspired by the world and making our life more about the world and not living our authentic truth and things like that. And then we have the burdens card, which I also view as Sagittarius energy, because the 8 is kind of like moving forward, being inspired. But then we go through the 9 of Wands, which can be being defensive. And then in the 10 of Wands, we can feel overwhelmed. Do we work through those things that we might be attracted to, but it could stop us from moving forward in life differently because we let those things manipulate us, which can just be being more wanting to conform to the world, wanting things to work out the way we wanted, maybe indulging our more immature nature, being attracted to people who are more immature, because shadowy Sagittarius can just represent that some people are more impulsive or immature, and we can be in a relationship with them. We can know other people who are more immature. But in the fire sign energy, we can want things to move forward differently. So we could be in relationships or have a job. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm kind of reading the sex card. If it's relationship, it's relationship. We're attracted to someone. But to have it apply in a general reading, it just represents kind of like life force energy of what drives and motivates us. And we can be driven and motivated to kind of move forward in life and close out an old chapter. We're ready to move forward. The body card reminds me of Virgo energy, which is kind of dealing with the truth, looking at yourself in the mirror, connecting with yourself emotionally and listening to your intuition. And we can all be frustrated in the anger card, which I also kind of view as fire sign energy, where we'd like things to work out the way we wanted. The people that we are in relationships with, or the job we took, we'd all like them to work out the way we wanted. But Virgo energy also talks about what people's truth is. And if their truth is they are kind of more self-indulgent, more immature, a hothead, has to be more their way or the highway, don't want to do things any different, like, I'm happy doing this, let's keep doing this, I don't want to move forward, because Virgo energy is also represented by the Knight of Pentacles, which can be moving forward and healing and growing and maturing yourself. And some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. And so some of those people could be really angry. And if they get people to, if they're an employer and they like to be kind of immature and bossy and controlling, they could be mad when other people see the truth of it and they move on. It's like, damn, why didn't you stay here? Why do we have to train in someone new? It's like, well, maybe you have some growing up and maturing to do, but they don't want to see it. And same thing in relationships. Some people just want to kind of shadowy fire sign energy can be, I just want to indulge in a relationship. And why do we have to do things? Why does it have to move forward like to the next level? Why did you have to get out of your more self-indulgent or indulging in these things or making your life about these things? Why did you work through whatever it is that could have manipulated you in the past to move forward in life differently? And when we add Virgo in high vibe, that's that aspect within ourself that does that inner work to deal with our immature nature, our fearful nature, whatever, and we kind of see the truth of it, and we add that to our philosophy of life, and then we're kind of not the same person that we were before, where we might have been more conforming, we might have put up with more immature behavior in ourselves and in others. We'll all repeat a pattern over and over and over until we're kind of sick of it, right? And we get sick of ourselves living our life a certain way. We get sick of hanging out with other people who live their life a certain way. And we do that inner work, and we kind of see how our own fears, insecurities, our codependent nature, our loving nature, how people can use that to try to manipulate us, and how we've let things manipulate us, and we don't want to keep feeling manipulated and intimidated. Even if it's just our own fear and insecurity of taking more creative, bold, confident action in our life. And so some people got frustrated enough that they did that work within themselves, and then they invested kind of this truth and these things that they'd seen and how they looked at life differently into how they make decisions moving forward. And for some people, it could have led to a different career, but there too, we can live life a certain way. We've all been more younger and more immature, and we got a lot of lessons to learn. And we could have really been fired up about a lot of things. But then we could have some life experiences that it does kind of click, like, oh wow, I didn't even know I'd think I'd like doing landscaping, because I'd never done landscaping in my life, and maybe I didn't do it till I was 30, and then when I did it, it's like, wow, I think that's something I'd really enjoy doing, for example. And so people who wanted people to keep moving forward with them, not like growing and healing and maturing yourself, listening to your intuition, tapping into your own unique talent, skills, and interests, where maybe it would be more just about indulging them. And they had a plan, and they wanted to move forward with their plan, and that's how they thought things should go. And it was kind of a little more their way than realizing everyone has their own unique talents, skills, and interests. Everyone has their own dreams. Everyone, is an individual who has the free will to live their authentic truth. And there's some people in life who don't like that because they want it to just be more about them. And you should conform to making your life more about them and maybe focusing on them. And they don't like it when people, I kind of look at the painting card also as fire sign energy, where, people kind of get inspired to do life a little different, because how we viewed life and how we lived life and how we move forward in life and our philosophy of life at age 15 and at age 18 and 21 and 25, they were all different because we were different at all those different ages. But some people, it was kind of like we all might go through some of those to kind of keep up with our peer group or whatever in those younger ages, but they might not be someone who likes to change. Or in their fire sign energy, they are kind of more manipulated by their more worldly, egoic nature. And that's how they'd always plan to live their life. And then if they get in relationships with people that also it's kind of like a stage of life we go through, just like being 15 or 18. For the first 30, 40 years of our life, we can really make our life a lot about these things of the world that we want to manifest. But for some people, there can come a time where, those things that used to drive and motivate me when I was younger, just like the things I used to do when I was 18 or 21 or 25, they don't motivate and inspire me the way they used to. It's kind of like not my truth anymore. And as I've went through life and I've had these different life experiences and come in contact with looking at life from these different perspectives and all that, maybe it was just getting to be where you were more inspired to live your more authentic life. And some people will never do that. I view high vibe Leo, and it is a process of becoming, but where you kind of see through all these illusions that we could have had about the world and about ourselves. And it's really like, you know what? I'm going to go out there in the world and I'm just going to not be caught up in my head and my ego and my fear and my insecurity. Because it's just a waste of my time and energy. I'm going to go out in the world and I'm going to harness high vibe energy of high vibe Leo. I'm going to be authentic and just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive and treat people the way I want to be treated. And then they have the free will to choose what they want to do. And if they're on the same page as that, well, then we'll move forward together, working together in that way. In workplaces, friendships, communities, etc. Some other people really don't like it when other people live their more authentic life, because shadowy energy can be more that, well, no, you're supposed to act like this, and you're supposed to dress like this, and you're supposed to talk to these people and not those people. And these are the things, all the rules in people's head, that if I follow these rules, that is how I will move forward and be victorious and successful and have people want to work together with me. Well, it can be good if part of what you're conforming to is, I'm not rude, I'm not bossy, I'm not controlling, I temper my more immature nature, I try to treat people the way I like to be treated. I mean, those can all be good things. But do we do them more for those reasons of trying to... That can be like shadowy Sagittarius, shadowy Virgo, shadowy fire sign energy, where we're doing all these things to, we don't really look at it that way, but in a way it's like to manipulate people to get them to like us, to want to invest in us, to view us a certain way. And we can put a lot of work and effort, and some people did put a lot of work and effort into having a certain status or image in the world. But if it's not really authentically who you are, and it is kind of more of a way of being so that people will view you a certain way and then maybe invest in you because you have a certain status, image, physique, wealth, status, social clout, figure, whatever, whatever it is that people use that they think is valuable and important, right? They can really get upset if there's someone they would like to be in a relationship with, but that person kind of isn't manipulated by those things, right? Because they could want to be in a relationship with someone, but those people's philosophy of life is different. Those things don't really... I want what everybody wants. I want people who seem stable and grounded and balanced and emotionally mature and just and fair and authentic and loving. And some people, it's like, but you won't let me wear my false mask and hide behind my ego. But I look like this and I dress like this and I have this certain status and I have this certain social clout. You should want to be in a relationship with me anyway, because of those reasons that they find valuable. And some high vibe people are like, but I've maybe already been in relationships with people where that's their truth. And that isn't my truth. And then because you make these things more important in your life, or you more important, you don't, you have a lot of things that manipulate, intimidate, and control you. And you want me to let those things intimidate and control me, which can be your ego or your fear or caught up in these things of the world, and then people in your life that you align with that live their life like that. And you're basically not willing to be more independent of your more shadowy, worldly nature or those people. And that's not how I chose to live my life. And I don't give those things that much power and influence in my life, or people who are like that. I don't care if they really like me or not. And if they are more immature or bossy or controlling or full of themselves, I don't want to hang out with them anyway. And so then, you know, you can be angry and upset if you got in a relationship and later you kind of found out the truth that they do have these things that really drive and motivate them and are really important to them. And it's like, it stops you from living your more authentic life. Those things are like a third party in our relationship. And the third party in our relationship should be hope and faith and belief and love, living our authentic truth. But some people don't want to come out from behind their more egoic nature or defensive nature, or, it is this philosophy of life that people have, and they think it's just and fair, and they probably live their life that way and make those things more important in their life because it makes them feel more stable and balanced within themselves. It's like a comfort zone. And other people are like, I found it stifling and oppressive and restricting and manipulative and oppressive. So I didn't make those things that important in my world. Do I put in work and effort to have stability and security, and put in work and effort into things and act with character and integrity and be proud of myself? Yeah, but I don't do it I do it for myself, to be proud of myself. High vibe Leo. Other people can put a lot of work and effort into things in the world, and it's not really, it's all about how other people view them. And then again, some people think because I do have these things, I think those things are more important, so I should be able to be manipulative or bossy or controlling. That is like a shadowy Taurus relationship. I have these things of the world that you want. I think those things are more important. So therefore, what I have is more important. And if what I have is more important, then it should be more about me. And some other people said, no, that's not just and fair. And love is supposed to be where you appreciate what everybody brings to the table. How about you take your things and your status and your image or your charm or your looks or your body or whatever the hell you got going on, and you can go get in a relationship with someone else. Knock your socks off. And that's what some of those people thought. Some of those people might think that right now. I do have a certain status and image, and the people I'm in a relationship with aren't letting me intimidate and control them and aren't indulging me. I'm going to go get in a relationship with someone else who I do think might be more on the same page as me, motivated and inspired by the same things as me. Well, it is kind of a philosophy of life that people can have. You either think, well, do I have more than you? Well, then I should be the one who's kind of indulged. And you should be the one who has to put in more of the work and effort to make this relationship more just and fair and balanced and loving. I don't have to, because I have these things of the world. And then they could be mad that they went to try to go get in a relationship with someone who was more like them, but then that person was like, well, you're right, I do agree with you, but if I seem to have more of what you want, well, then I guess I get to be the more intimidating, bossy, controlling person, and it's a little bit more about me. And then they can be mad that when they had an opportunity to move forward with someone who was loving and encouraging, they weren't willing to do the work, to work through this philosophy of life they have, to free themselves of it, and they let it manipulate them, and they repeated an old pattern thinking, of course, this is going to work. But whenever we take action more out of pride and ego and fear and insecurity and lust and greed, we're going to learn some hard lessons. And now, just like all the rest of us when we've done that, some of those people, they kind of wanted what they wanted without having to heal and grow and mature themselves or temper their ego. Now some of those people could be overwhelmed and feel angry, but some of those people are still refusing to do the inner work to learn the lesson. And some of those people could think, I know those loving people really love me and they really wanted a dream to come into reality. Maybe I can go towards them and tell them maybe that I've changed, I've healed, I've grown, I've matured, or let's hope they don't make the mistake. Well, it would almost be better, right, if they came out more bossy and controlling, because the high vibe people in their life would be like, yeah, no. Versus, but they might try to create an illusion. And the whole thing is, high vibe people are going to listen to their intuition. As dealing with anyone from their past, anyone from their present, anyone in their future, they have seen the truth. They have repeated enough patterns in their own life and dealt with enough people in their life that I have been given a gift. Virgo energy within all of ourselves is about going within to see the truth, be illuminated to the truth, heal, grow, mature ourselves, and that we were given these unique talent, skills, and interests. And we can either use them in a more shadowy, manipulative way, or we can embrace them, get to know them, just like some people could reject their more loving nature because we're emotionally complex human beings, and some people say it's too confusing, I'm not doing love, I'm not connecting in with my more emotional nature. High vibe people learn to work with those things. Those are all different gifts we've been given to work with. And one of the things we've been given is also our intuition. It's part, you could look at fire sign energy as it's a part of our nature and part of the software program we've been given. But we, in our more worldly life and more egoic nature, we could ignore our intuition because we think, no, 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 I know best. And I'm kind of fearful of listening to my intuition. My intuition might want me to harness my fire sign energy in a more bold, brave, confident way, be more authentically myself, and I'm not there yet, and I'm kind of intimidated by that. So I did get more manipulated in my fire sign and worldly nature to align with my more worldly nature and conform to the world. But as I have gone through these life experiences, and I've went through some negative situations where my intuition could have been telling me, you should move away from these people, you shouldn't go do that, or this isn't good for you, this isn't going to work out the way you think. But, we kind of ignore our intuition. But animals, and we're part of the animal kingdom, they've been given their unique talent, skills, and interests, and they listen to it. What is it? A porcupine has quills. A porcupine will shoot its quills when it feels in danger. If they were a human being, it'd be like, oh, I do have all these quills, but no, I'm not going to shoot them at anyone when I feel like someone is being threatening or intimidating. Birds and butterflies could all die in cold climates, but if they were human beings, but they choose to listen to their intuition. They don't really have free will. It's kind of built in their software to just do what the programming says, and the program says, move away, fly away, and they've never flew that far a distance. They've never been anywhere else, because it's kind of an interesting thing about butterflies. At least up here in North America, they all go to this place like in Mexico, but they were born up north, and the parents died during that time period, and then they go fly there and they don't even know where they're going. They just listen to their intuition, and we were given our intuition to help guide us in the world. But we have to quit thinking we're the boss and we're so smart, trying to control our more intuitive, creative, inspired nature that was given to us, right? And some high vibe people have learned that. And it's like, bring it on. Because I know who I am, and I've done this work to not let things like that upset me and bother me as much as they used to. People are going to be who they are going to be. based on their emotional maturity level. And yeah, can it be frustrating? Yeah. If I don't have to work with them and spend much time, energy, and effort with them, I'm not going to. And then the people in a community or a family or a workplace that like to try to manipulate and control people could definitely be upset that other people have already learned the truth about people like them, and they can't get them up in their ego, in their shadowy Leo energy. But I needed you to be upset, and I needed you to be in your ego, and I needed you to want to conform, and I needed you to be in your fear and your insecurity, like you need to work with me or get along with me. It's like, I can get along with you without having to invest any more time, energy, and effort. If I need to work with you for something, I will work together with you for something. And if you need me and want something, whatever, need information, I will provide it to you. But it ends up like, I'm going to act in a way that is aligned with my truth. I'm not going to indulge you in your pettiness or your bossiness or your rudeness or whatever. I just accept that that's the truth. And they don't like it when it doesn't intimidate and control you, because then they don't, that is their mode of operating in the world. It's like, oh shit, this is someone who could be more stable and grounded within themselves. And it's kind of been illuminated that I was trying to intimidate them or control them, or I was rude, or I was bossy. And that person saw it. You know, it's kind of like people can do things to try to get you to fight with them, take the bait. And when you don't do it, it's like, well, for one, I'd probably lose because that's not my way of operating in the world. And you're used to kind of fighting in the dirt and being nasty and being manipulative and being angry. And, you know, you probably have a lot of practice at it. And I don't, because that's not how I function in the world. So when you do that, it is kind of like, I'm going to not let it manipulate me, even though the masculine energies can kind of represent us in our more worldly egoic nature. There could be a part of us that would really like to act out, but our more loving, intuitive nature says, don't do it. It is not worth it. You know, you can let shadowy energy and people manipulate you, or you can act in a way that you can be proud of. And when you do that, it kind of like, it's like holding up a mirror to the other people, because like, I'm not going to play that game and I'm not going to react in kind. Do you kind of like see how you're acting? And that's not how I choose to act. And I'm going to move forward with my day and my life. You do you, I'll do me. And yeah, people don't, it's kind of like illuminating something without saying anything. Just by the fact that you didn't react the way they wanted you to react, kind of signifies that you're not as naive or gullible or grounded within yourself as they might have thought. So, in a way, the high vibe people intimidate the more shadowy people, just by the fact that the high vibe people aren't trying to intimidate and control people. And they know other people will probably want to work together with them and enjoy their company, and not so much theirs, and that makes them angry. And they wanted you to be part of their flock, to follow their lead, and you're not. So for people who are more shadowy, if they're in a more shadowy relationship, what drives them, motivates them, is wanting to have like what other people have. But other people are in relationships and working together cooperatively, some of them in truth and love. And other people want to look like they have that, but they really don't want to invest in the truth that it is supposed to be about working cooperatively in truth and love and justice and fairness. So they try to find someone who they think they can manipulate And just like we've gotten in friendships and relationships and taken jobs with people like that, it's all part of the learning process. And, it's part of helping us get to where we are not as naive and gullible and do learn to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in so that we can get our divine inheritance. Because otherwise, when we have kind of good things in our life, there's always going to be shadowy people in the world who want to, in our own shadow nature, that want to take that away from us. And we have to be kind of firm in our conviction of what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And so it's kind of like God uses shadowy people for God's good purposes. Anybody can keep being in relationships with people who are like that if they want. They have free will. Okay, you maybe haven't learned to stand up for yourself and love and believe in yourself, and these things can intimidate and control you just like it does a lot of people in the world having to learn these lessons. Well, here you go. You can stay in this. You can keep investing in this. You can keep moving forward with this if you want. And if you don't, then it takes this work and effort to free yourself from things that manipulate you. And if there's some people in the world where they're equally addicted to something or make certain things really important in their life, or about the world, or ego or image is more important, and conforming or whatever, they're probably going to get in relationships with people who are make those things more important in their life too. And their own shadow nature and other people in their life will keep manipulating and controlling them. At the big picture, shadowy energy is kind of represented by the devil. All these things that try to manipulate us, control us, restrict us, and imprison us. High vibe energy at the big picture represented by God wants us to learn these lessons and free ourselves from those things that manipulate us. Free us from our own shadowy nature and our own belittling and berating of ourselves. We can do that if we want, but we have the free will to be a good, like, mother, father, coach voice to ourselves and be loving and encouraging to ourselves. Which one are we going to do? And some people have a negative inner voice, had people in their life who were negative and critical, didn't encourage them to love and believe in themselves. Now they've taken over that role. Then they have other people in their life who maybe lived with those same people or grew up in similar experiences, and they're all kind of living their life like that. Until we're willing to look ourselves in the mirror and realize that we can blame all these other things and all these other people, but the truth is, what are we really offering people? Are we offering people truth and love? Or are we offering them things of the world to try to get them to be in a relationship with us? Which can just be, I'll have sex with you. I'll be in a relationship with you. I'll do what you want. I'll indulge you. And some people want that. And they're looking for people who will do that. And we all have the free will choice when we're in those situations to stay in it or not. We can look at a relationship more like a job. And there's some people right now who'd rather are in a relationship they'd maybe rather not be in, but because they could feel codependent on it or just fearful of what would people say, they stay in it. And we all have the free will to, life's about duality, and so everybody can see other people and like how they choose to live their life, and helps other people decide how they want to live their life. Some people are mad that other people would not conform because they wanted to be in a relationship with them, but they're kind of mismatched puzzle pieces. One person is more bossy or controlling or full of themselves or manipulative, and the other person is being authentic, doesn't wish ill will on anyone. And it's like, yeah, and that's why I want you around, to be loving and encouraging and supportive of me, so you can bully me and intimidate me? No. And we all got to listen to our intuition about when we're ready to get out of those situations, like get a new job, detach from a friendship group or an organization or a relationship. So, what's going on? What's coming up for people who harness, oh, that's too many, and that's too many cards too, who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming? Okay. We have 3 cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Two of Wands. So, the Two of Wands is that, I kind of view, like I said, the teaching and the relocation card as Sagittarius fire sign energy, which is kind of like the Eight of Wands. And then the burdens card is like the Ten of Wands. From the 8 down to the 2, we let go of the Six of Wands, which is Leo energy. Kind of being in our ego about something that we could have wanted to move forward with, that we thought was victorious and successful, or a way of living our life where maybe we were kind of more indulging ourselves that we kind of viewed as victorious and successful. And just kind of realize that, I don't know, we kind of weren't growing to our full potential, and kind of seeing the truth of it, and at the same time maybe being kind of mad about it, or having to leave a relationship with some people we might have liked to have stayed there to a degree, or we know that they're going to be angry when we reveal our truth. But some people let go of the Six of Wands, and from the 2 to the 10, they let go of the Eight of Wands. I was moving forward in something, inspired by something, or caught up in something that I thought was maybe aligned with my truth. And then something could have happened where you kind of realize your truth is different, and you could have more clearly seen that someone maybe doesn't like that you're more in high vibe energy, just more independent, more authentically yourself, love yourself. If they don't love themselves and they're not more independent, they don't like that you are. And if they're afraid of kind of living life differently, they could really get angry trying to get you to get back in the box, as was discussed in the Barbie movie. And when they tracked her down and they wanted to put her back in the box, and she's like, oh, I remember this smell. It's been a long time since I've been in a box. And then she ran away to run away from them. Some people let go of something and they closed out a cycle in their life. Why? Because they were inspired to believe in themselves. The Two of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. And they're inspired to love and believe in themselves and stand up for themselves and their dreams. And that not everybody's way they want to move forward in life is the way I want to move forward. But I am in my Aries and Leo and maybe Sagittarius energy. In my fire sign energy, I am ready to live life differently than I lived it before. Like everyone else, I was more caught up in these things of the world, but I'm not anymore. I look at life differently than I did before. And with these 3 cards not showing itself, other people could see that you're moving forward in life differently. You're not acting in these immature ways. You're not indulging yourself to feel better. Some people wanted you to. Some people, because they didn't like that you were being more independent or loved yourself, could have done hurtful and unkind things to try to overwhelm you and cause you to try to drive your life off into the ditch. And they could be mad that their manipulation tactic didn't work, because then if they could make you drive your life off into the ditch, it's kind of like stealing your identity, where then they could present themselves as the person who's the more stable, grounded, authentic, loving person, just by doing these hurtful and unkind things to make you kind of crash and burn, stop you from moving forward, not telling people the truth, and hoping it would hurt you maybe so bad that you'd give up on believing in yourself. And you just realized, no, you're not who I thought you were. And I'm not going to keep moving forward with you, but I didn't give up on my dreams. And what they don't know about you is that you no longer harness these energies in a more shadowy way. And you were willing to cut the people out of your life who wanted you to keep being in that shadowy energy, because to some degree, they harness it in shadowy energy. And that's also why some people aren't moving forward with you, because they'd have some people and things they need to kind of detach from, and they're not willing to do that. And what they don't know is you're harnessing these energies in a more high vibe way. The Six of Wands in reverse, the Two of Wands in reverse, and the Five of Pentacles in reverse. You know, Leo, the Six of Wands, represented by the Sun, you are moving forward in life kind of a little more caught up in yourself and the world, and you weren't illuminated to the truth. And you maybe weren't more inspired to believe in yourself and believe in your dreams, and you were operating more from your ego and looking to things of the world and people of the world to work with, to bring your dreams into reality so that you could move forward. The Five of Pentacles can talk about moving forward. But it was kind of an upside down philosophy of life. If you really want to have your dreams come into reality, we do need to detach from, it's like this parallel universe, you know? We, in our free will, we can work with just those things in the world. We can make our life about those things if we want. But it is kind of like a opposite mirror image because of what it's driven and motivated by, versus if we learn the lessons we were meant to learn and we free ourselves from things that manipulate us, then we're really free to live our more authentic life. But all the people can kind of look the same and dress the same, but the intentions and the motivation behind it are different. And so you're no longer in your ego about something, less motivated about you and your ego. I'm going to go live my authentic life. And it's not more about me or more about anyone else. It's about me just living my authentic life and treating other people the way I like to be treated. And I let go of an old dream and aligning with that part of myself that was more caught up in those things. And that's not how I'm moving forward anymore. That's no longer my philosophy of life. So some people see you moving forward in life differently. They just don't understand how you seem to be doing it. And shadowy people can want to create the illusion that they're just like other people, and look how stable and balanced and loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging we are to each other. But it's kind of more about creating the illusion. And you're not trying to create an illusion. You're not trying to manipulate people to view you a certain way. You're just living your more authentic life, creating it as you go, dealing with your fears and insecurities as you go, taking the truths that you've learned and the lessons you've learned to deal with the fact that you have your own shadow nature. There's always going to be more shadowy energy in the world to deal with. And you're like, come what may, I have my truth and what I'm going to invest my time, energy, and effort into, and what I'm going to tap into, which is my own unique talent, skills, and interests, my more creative, inspired, loving, intuitive nature to guide me and the decisions I make. And if there's people in my life that would like to move forward with me, but they harness their Leo, their Aries, and their Taurus philosophy of life, being that's not their truth, no. I can't go back in the box and live my life. It's like anybody at any stage of life could have had a certain viewpoint of what they thought was just and fair in a relationship, maybe at 18. Some people still think that everybody should keep thinking what they thought was just and fair in a relationship when they were 18 as like the norm. Like they don't want to change. They want to keep moving forward the way they've always moved forward. Probably because it benefits them in some way, male or female. People can have been more bossy and controlling and more indulged, and they keep thinking they should be able to be more bossy and controlling and more indulged. And it's like, grow up. But if they're not more inspired and they want to repeat that old pattern, they just need to find someone who has lessons to learn from people like them. And if they decide, hey, this is how I like to live my life too, well, perfect. They found someone who's on the same page as them. But they might be experiencing other people who are like, I don't view life that way. At one time I did, but I've kind of grown up and matured myself, feel more stable and grounded within myself. I think it should be where it's not about trying to intimidate and control people. I think it's about working together cooperatively from love. And some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I like the old way. It's like, okay. And I think as you get, you shed being more about yourself and your ego and the world and like lack mentality and these shadowy ways of being, there's going to be other people that are happy to work with you and be friends with you and are people they think their dreams can come into reality with, because you do work together with people cooperatively. And they also have experienced people like this, and they don't want to be in relationships with people like that anymore. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're not like that. Yeah, I want to be in a friendship or relationship with you. What's coming up for people who are more shadowy that they might not see coming? The King of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. Why? Because of the Nine of Cups. Well, shadowy people can always have people in their life that would like to move forward with them. The Wheel of Fortune is kind of like, and the King of Swords can be like someone telling someone, I think it would be emotionally fulfilling to be in a relationship with you, or I love you, I want to move forward with you. But the shadowy people keep turning their back on that. No, I want to keep indulging. The Nine of Cups can be, I want to keep indulging in this. This is my truth. Let's keep doing this. And they're never willing to go with the flow. They have this way of viewing life like, no, we have to do it like this. No. And they're going to have some people in their life that see the truth of it. And though they could be kind of sad, you see the truth. My dream can't come into reality with you. If part of the dream is, let's go create our own unique thing. Let's not have to keep recreating this old thing or doing it this way or the way your parents did it or whatever, or like everyone else. Let's go do our own thing that's aligned with our truth. Be more independent. And the other people are like, no, I don't want to be independent of this. And they might not want to become more independent of living more from their mind and their heart, or being more about themselves, or being more bossy and controlling. And they're going to have some other people that finally, even though they hadn't wanted to, kind of see the truth. If I keep moving forward with this, it's going to keep being the same as it's been. What more can I do than offer love and encouragement and truth and be just and fair with people? That's not enough? Well, then apparently nothing is enough. If you were motivated and inspired to look at life differently, or be more just and fair, or less bossy, or less self-indulgent, or less intimidating and controlling, you would be. So, since love didn't work, what they don't see coming is they're probably going to have some people come into their life that have the idea, operating maybe more from their ego, I'm going to create the illusion that I'm more aligned with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and that I'm willing to be in a relationship with them and move forward with them and indulge them in their more immature or shadowy or bossy or controlling ways. But that's really not my truth. That's just an illusion I'm creating because they think for some reason it will work for them somehow. Like, I think it'll be good for my ego and image if I previously was more immature and other people viewed me maybe as more immature. If I get in a relationship with you and if you have this certain status or image in the world, look like you have justice in the world and that you want to be in a relationship with me and are willing to stay in a relationship with me, then maybe some of the people who might have been gossiping about me or standoffish in some way and wouldn't be in a relationship with me, if I do this relationship with you, it kind of creates a different maybe image. That's again shadowy people trying to create an image that then maybe some of the people in the world who previously were more defensive to me that I wanted to be in relationship with, maybe at some future date those people would be willing to. So it's kind of like using other people for their own benefit, for how it benefits them, but not really love. Or some people are like, yeah, emotionally, I'm more invested in these things of the world too. That's my truth. That's what makes me happy. Yeah, I'll be in a relationship with you. That's what I want to emotionally invest in. And then that would be a more just and fair relationship because they're both in it for whatever it is that more drives and motivates them. But it could be not being defensive to becoming more independent from their more worldly egoic view of life, because that is kind of what drives and motivates them. And that would be a just and fair relationship. It's just that they can all let these things of the world and other people and all that kind of intimidate and control them because those things are so important to them, right? And then you can kind of become enslaved to it. And other people who know that those things are really valuable and important to you, and they could get in a relationship with someone who knows and sees the truth that that's what drives and motivates them. I will get in a relationship with them, but then I will be, if I have a certain status or image, and people maybe like me or whatever, that then I can be the more bossy, controlling person. And because you want this and you want this certain image and status, and I could bring some of that image and status, I think I can be more bossy and controlling of you in the relationship. And you won't want to become independent of it because, so you can see where, it's shadowy. The devil tries to use all these things and these things that we want to make people stay in relationships that aren't just and fair, but because we want those things, we will kind of put up with it. And I think it's unjust and unfair for someone who's like that to try to trap a more hopeful, believing, loving person in a relationship to try to get them to indulge them in their more defensive ways of being or immature ways of being. And what is just and fair is for them to basically be in a relationship with someone who's just like themselves. They might take turns being intimidating or cold or bossy or angry and using their emotions and their sexuality and their whatever to equally try to manipulate each other. And maybe they think that is love. I was like, that's great. You guys do that. Other people are like, I'm not doing that. Enjoy your life. I'm going to go find some people in the world who I think are more stable and grounded and authentic and loving and inspired to treat me the way I like to be treated. And it's not like that. But if that's where you're at, you do that. And I'm going to go find people in the world who are looking for people like me, just like I'm looking for them. I'm going to quit investing my time and energy into defending people who are more shadowy. And I'm going to stand up for myself and be more independent. And that's what some people could be doing in some of the shadowy people's life that they didn't see coming, as that some of the people in their life that are a little more high vibe than them are standing up for themselves and becoming independent of them, just like they're not letting their more shadowy nature, immature nature run their life. Then we have to stand up to people in our life who want us to keep indulging that aspect within ourselves, because then we'll keep being in a relationship with them. And it's like, I'm not doing that. And when I'm not doing that, if you're going to still be in that energy, I wish you peace, but I'm moving on. That's not how I want to keep moving forward. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.